My name is J.O. I'm the author of Maximize Your Medicare. There on the left-hand corner of your screen, all sorts of other stuff, information, websites, things like that just below. Over the past week, the CMS, the federal agency that governs Medicare, it has released 2025 premiums, deductibles, details. I'm going to briefly review them here in front of you and talk about couple of other implications that we have heard of since, just in case you didn't know, we now know the result of the presidential election. So here it is here. Funny, the first draft of this wasn't correct. Anyway, here we go. So on this is the table here, which is the Part B table. And what you have here is the base case is that premium will be $185 for Part B. $185, that's your number, right? It was $140, $174. Where were we here? There you go, $147. $174, I'm dyslexic this morning, $174.70 last year. You can also see that the Part B deductible will be $257. $257. In 2024, it was $240. It is now $257. For people who are on Medigap, that means that you are going to be responsible for the $17 increase. For Medicare Advantage, that will depend entirely on your Medicare Advantage plan. For newcomers, Medicare Advantage overrides all of these details here. You can't get away from paying for Part B, the $185. You cannot get away from that. Once you pay the premium for Part B, however, then all of the details that are to your specific Part C, that's what some people call it. I don't use that. I just call it Medicare Advantage just for clarity's sake, that your Medicare Advantage plan, they run the show. You're a member of that plan. Your deductibles, your copays, your out-of-pocket maximums will be different per plan, and that will change every year. Crazy people write books about understanding these nuances. I would tell you that the number of plans has not declined for Medicare Advantage. I would tell you also that Part D has changed notably. Especially because one carrier has basically eliminated itself, and it was an inexpensive plan in 2024. The details, if you want to reach us here, you can see it, info@gh2benefits.com there in the text block below the book cover. So let's continue here, because here's where I want to go. This table here has this other information on the left. And this comes as a surprise to newcomers. Okay, which is that your Part B premium, the base case is $185. That doesn't mean that everyone is charged $185. That you can see that there are these higher amounts, $259, all the way up to $628. It is possible that you have to pay these higher premiums because this is a tax-related matter. You can see it over here. If your individual tax returns, or there you go, if you're individual or if you're filing jointly is there. I'll have the link to this article it will also be on maximizeyourmedicare.com, the website for the book, in just by lunch today. Okay. So you can see what happens to these boundaries. These boundaries here change year to year based off CPI. That all said, what I'm also going to tell you is that these numbers here were not available a week ago. They are now. What happens here is Social Security Administration looks at your tax return from 2 years prior. 2 years prior. And then they assign you whether or not you are subject to these higher amounts of 185 or 250, starting at 259, for example. And that is per person, right? So now you can understand for certain people that adjustment from 185 up to 628, the way to read this table is you're being charged an extra 443.90 times 2 if you're married times 12. So now you can see it, 886 times 12 is basically 900 times 12. You're talking about $12,000 a year. Now, in addition to this, this is just Part B. There's another one, which is for Part D, which is here. So you've got the base case, 185. You've got IRMAA, that's the formal name, if you have a higher income, and that is modified adjusted gross income. We're going to get to the nuances in just a moment. But you can see in addition to that, there's another IRMAA, which is Part D IRMAA. Okay, so this table here just shows it to you. Here it is, right there. It's the headline. In which case, what happens here is, let's just say you've got a plan and your plan premium is $10 a month. You get 10 plus this column. So if you're $10 and you're in this modified adjusted gross income bracket, modified adjusted gross income star bracket, we will get to the star, like I said. Keep watching the video because it is nuanced here, and it's going to be more nuanced because of the fact that you're going to have a proposed change to Social Security taxes as a result of the new administration. We will discuss that here in a few minutes. But you can see what happens is Part D, you get this additional amount here, $1,370. So what ends up happening is you get $1,370 plus 73 is your extra amount. So 13 plus, is $86. It's $1,000 a year more per person, per year. So I don't want people to be overly alarmed. I'm sure you're going to see, and I'm empathetic to people who are, every dollar counts. Of course it does. I'm a cheapskate myself, right? So every dollar counts. That I can understand. Obviously, when rates change at all for anyone, the people who are financially restrained, right, are more affected. That's always the case, right? In other words, this does not matter. In other words, if you are living on Social Security alone, you will see that the rate of increase of your Social Security check will be lower than the rate of increase of Medicare Premium Part B. True. It is part of the reason, by the way, that I categorically reject the idea of never Medicare Advantage. I just don't, because those are the statements of a person who's never met a real person, which we have. I have, right? Meaning that speaking to everyday people who live literally on Social Security alone, it can be completely rational to choose Medicare Advantage if you understand what you are selecting and why, right? It is always my case that I don't mind financial risk and uncertainty. What I'm trying to prevent in this book, other activities, Jay's Corner, my newsletter, etc., is unintended risk. Unintended risk. That's different. That's different, right? Meaning that you look on your bank statement, you go, I forgot to cancel this subscription, and it feels like, 100 times more expensive than it actually is. It's the unintended risk. Here we go. So I have written in the past, and you can see over in the text below my name, right, which is that I'm an education fellow for the Alliance for Lifetime Income. I've written this paper. It was a year ago, right? It is, you know, I'm that person who doesn't like to hear the sound of his voice on the answering machine, or unfortunately, the look of my face on video. Anyway, can't stop that, but here we go. You can see here, this is a research note that I wrote for the Alliance for Lifetime Income. I am an education fellow. There, go to it, protectedincome.org. It is a nonprofit organization to help educate people and advisors about the value of guaranteed lifetime income in financial planning. Let's bring up the paper here. You can go and see it. I'll have a link in the video in the text below when I'm done hitting broadcast. Like I said, I'm not great at videography. Here we go. So anyway, you can see it's a short article, and you can see implications of the APTC and financial planning, especially. But you can see here that what you have here is, you see this first column, that these, when I said that your modified adjusted gross income star, right? Star is these differences here. One of them here, and you can see it, it's not added for Medicare premium. It is added to the Affordable Care Act's advanced premium tax credit. So you can see another reason, for example, and we will quickly come to the conclusion in just a few moments, right? Which is now we've got this extra complication on the claiming of Social Security. Extra complication now on the timing of the claiming of Social Security, because a lot of the decision making here, a lot, has to do with when are you going to retire or stop working from your full-time job. Maybe you want to go to part-time. Maybe you want to start a second career. Maybe you're at your job and you're just simply staying out in order to cover your spouse who is not yet Medicare eligible. All of those, I mean, if we named a top 3 list, let's just call it one of those 3. I hope it's not because, you are seriously ill and can't work. But let's just leave those 3 as very, very dominant. So what you end up having here is you've got this complication, because what you have is the claiming of Social Security, and the current proposal to have it not taxed may make you think that you'll have more cash. But if you're 64, what you've just done is you are also not going to have the Affordable Care Act advance premium tax credit, which is the subsidy, if you will, the subsidy you get in order to lower your ACA premium. Here's your evidence that crazy people not only write books, but join think tanks and also write research articles about it. Last point here is the implication here is pretty wide-reaching, which is that this is what I call Mr. X. And if you see the text below the text box on this video here, you'll see jo.substack.com. That is the name of my newsletter right there. Oops, I will pull it up in a moment. Let's do that now, actually. So, if we go and see the Substack, what you see here is, a number of different topics, right? Because what ends up happening is that these decisions, you can see very complicated, right? A number of cash flow sources here, and the decision to decide to stop working and then to accept Medicare. When are we going to go on to Medicare? How does it work? Well, it's a financial decision, right? We need to keep the lights on. And I understand that that is a complicated process outside of just my book, Max Kaiser Medicare, because it is a single topic here. And you can see it's to control expenses and also to control downside financial risk as you are trying to think of your financial plan. As you approach retirement, stop working, start your second career, whatever it would be. So, in other words, before you get on with it after 65, the timing and transition of it so important. Understanding Medicare, one slice of the pie. These are some of the others. For those, tons of resources here. Like I said, jo.substack.com. That's how you can get an introduction to other topics that will affect your financial planning. All right, let's leave it there. 15 minutes, real quick. If you have questions, you can send emails info@gh2benefits.com. Have a good weekend, everyone.